I almost forgot for a second there that I used to do 3 videos a week, and Beast Wars week would be really lame with only 2 videos, but what do I choose to do? Because I actually have a glut of options this year, some of which are holdovers from last year, which I somehow forgot to do. But you know what? I've been sitting on this one for a long while. Thanks to Average Cult Leader, the head mod over on my main Discord, because I have been dying to make this one for a long while. Let's take a look at the crazy awesome concept art for the Beast Wars toys, both ones that were refined into what we know, and stuff we sadly never got. But first, your likes! Please give and maybe subscribe. So for those who don't know, Beast Wars actually started at McDonald's. The McDonald's toys were where the idea for Beast Wars came from. McDonald's wanted to have some Transformers for their kids' meals and suggested the idea of animal ones to Hasbro, and they got on it. Meaning that when they made those original toys, they were supposed to be the G1 characters themselves. Beetle was supposed to be Megatron, and Manta Ray was supposed to be Optimus Prime. And you can kind of tell from their faces, though definitely more so from Beetle's. But with this, now we know that before they came up with Manta Ray, the figure that would become Prowl was going to be Optimus. But then they realized that they wanted to develop the idea into its own thing for themselves, so they quickly changed all the names to the most generic shit possible, so Hasbro's versions could be the definitive ones. Which is hilarious because why was Prowl like the one guy who they were like, yeah, no, that can be a character from G1, but the rest of these we want to keep for ourselves. Anyways, we can see from these early concepts that Prowl almost turned out exactly like his concept art said he would. What I find more interesting, however, is that Optimus was going to be a lion, which I think implies that this lion was going to turn into Optimus Primal, especially given the tail and the axe before he was ever going to turn into a bat. Also, he's got what looks to be like a cat face right on his back there. Though, what is that bat flying over him? Were there supposed to be 2 different characters and one was like an Optimus Minor or something? Gotta love the maximal underoos. And holy crap, Primal's chest was supposed to be the Matrix. That is only carried over in the vaguest way possible into the final design. Which, when you think about it, makes sense when Optimus Primal isn't supposed to be the actual leader of all Cybertronians, just a typical ship captain. From there, Optimus was refined into his bat form, or again, this might have been intended to be a separate character, seemingly with Airrazor's flappy wing gimmick. And hilariously, this isn't a one-step changer. I can see why they turned this into more of a normal bat, because this looks like a demon from hell here to feast on children. And while kids in the 90s would have loved that shit because there's never been an edgier decade, that still doesn't really fly for a hero like Optimus. No pun intended. But do you know who changed even more? Megatron, whose original design is crazy and awesome, truly different than what we ended up getting. This version turns from a tiny man into a slightly less tiny man who's also a quadruple amputee, and then fuses with a T-Rex to become a Guyver-esque looking supervillain. This goes so hard, and while I don't know that I like it for the character we actually got in the show, it's a shame that this wasn't used elsewhere in the franchise at any point. Instead, we got something that was a more refined version of the creepy thing where Megatron had an extending dino neck full of gore and polyps, which may be a refinement of this silly thing, which is a raptor that shoots its head at you. I neither have any idea how this thing would transform, or why anyone thought a friction-fired head was a good idea. But it has brightened up my day for just being so hilariously dumb. But like Megatron, dude, you look like you have a disease. And it's not because your head is falling off. And am I crazy, or do some of these, like, seriously have some Metal Slug energy? You got Megatron here, who looks like General Morden, and then you got this one where Baboon is grabbing this little guy who is pulling the scared rebel soldier face. I don't like any of what this is implying, as it looks like that ugly fucker Baboon, who I swear is just a wrestler in a shitty costume, is about to suck that dude into that gory gap in his chest and consume him. And that is just not the way I would want to go. But let's move back to the beginning. Scorponok was supposed to be Shockwave? What? Now I know why he was supposed to be super loyal to Megatron. The Waves were loyal and the Marvel comic was stupid. Shut up. Shockwave, Soundwave, and Tidal Wave, Megatron's 3 devoted commanders. But speaking of the original cast, did y'all know that Rat Trap was originally envisioned as a fucking bull? Also, he had an arm that looked just way too much like a dog dick fused with a crab. He also had a concerning opening mouth that extended his head, and also some kind of square in the back of his skull. All of this makes me unhappy, and why did he have a pair of hanging suspenders? Plus, like a frilly chest apron. Dude looks like a Chip and Dale's dancer from H.R. Geiger's Nightmares. From there, I'd say that we should move on to Cheetor, but actually first, I think we need to go to this abomination. A Transformer who's a jellyfish, a type of creature that can rip itself apart under its own weight. The garbage bags of the sea, as they are often called. Who could possibly have a guess as to why Hasbro wouldn't want to make this? Honestly, I'm kind of a little bit here for it. If only because I expect it to be made out of all clear plastic, and you all know me, clear thing is like shiny thing, and I like shiny thing. Though, is it just me, or does this have a degree of Botanica vibes? Then you have this thing. I have no idea what this is. It's labeled Baboon, but in no way does it look like the Baboon we already saw, and he doesn't have the gory gaping chest. Also, he's riding around on a fuzzy dragon that's legs bend the wrong way. Weird. Lastly, of these dudes we never got, we have this guy, who seems to be a fuser of some kind of chimera. And I just have to point out, his head is his ass. Why is this the form you chose? I need weedy thighs, I need giant feet, I need hands that are basically useless, and I need a head that smells like shit. So when I burp, it should make you want to kill yourselves. Then you might think that this should be towards the end of the video where I'm talking about the Transmetal 2s or something, but actually I think no. Based on what I'm seeing here, Dragon Megatron was the original idea for what Beast Wars Megatron turned into. I mean, look at him. His legs, thighs, crotch, chest, and head are all like 90% the ones he just wound up with in the end. He's got a version of the tail arm, and then the opening mouth hand. Strip off the fantasy element, and this is just the Megatron we all know and love from Beast Wars. And if you say that this might have been what they were planning the Transmetal 2 version of him to look like because it was just an upgrade of his form, by that point he'd long since been a normal Transmetal who no longer looked at all like this. If I had to guess, they just took this design and made it into a regular T-Rex. Also, love the Predacon symbol built into the center of his chest. From there, we get the classic Transmetal Cheetor, and let's actually work backwards on this boy so we can try to decipher what they were thinking. If I had to guess, this was the first idea they had for him. What if Cheetor, but shitload of guns? And I too have never asked this question before, probably because I wouldn't trust Cheetor with a plastic butter knife. And from there, they were like, yeah, that's probably a bad idea. So what if he was a rat trap? I think they partially reused this design for his Trans-Tech form and then for the animated blur. But, like, who thought this was a good idea? It's a cheetah already. He's fast as fuck boy at base level. So what, this makes him slightly faster in a dead sprint? Dumb idea. Terrible. So, what if him, but also jet fighter? And yeah, that's less stupid. The implementation here, ain't it, Chief? You just slapped a set of 747 wings on him and gave those some rocket pods and called it a day. No, this still needs to be revised, my friend. No, not like that. Don't just give him bird wings, though this is probably the inspiration for Silverbolt. So what I ultimately think they did is combine it with this, which I'm fairly sure is supposed to be Boat Cheetor? An idiot cat who'd probably choke on his own spit, being given the ability to shunt himself deeper underwater faster than his single brain cell can process. What could go wrong? So you take the two smaller pylons off that, combine it with the jet, and you get the not worthless thing that they ended up settling for. And from Transmetal Cheetor, we go to Triple Changer Cheetor, who turns into a shark. Okay, I know that I just made fun of an aquatic Cheetor, but this thing gets a hell yeah for me. This works so much better than the Transmetal form for him, and at least he could breathe underwater like this, and I make no apologies for what I'm about to do to you all. Triple Changer Dinobot, Raptor, and Cobra. This is the sickest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. How has no one ever tried to make this a real thing? God, I want this. It retains all of his character, but gives him a cool new upgraded form. I mean, I can't imagine this being the body he had in Code of Hero, but oh god, I just want this so bad. It's so cool. Hasbro, you need to make Trans-Tech, and you need to make this. Also, Triple Changer Optimus Primal, Monkey and Eagle. This one has a really cool design, and I think a lot of people would probably like this more than the Transmetal one, but I can see why this never happened, as it doesn't really add anything to him that the Transmetal didn't already do. Like, he's got a monkey form, a flying form, and a robot form with a big gun. That's basically just the Transmetal with an admittedly cool new coat of paint. From there, we have what I think might be Transmetal 2 Rampage, who, man, there's a guy who didn't need a power upgrade. He looks even more Guyver-esque here, and oh my god, I just realized. This wasn't the original form of Rat Trap, this was Triple Changer Rat Trap, Bull and Crab? I thought this was the alternate form of Rampage we just saw, but no. Why would Rat Trap go from being a rat to a bull and a crab? Unless he was intended to be a bull from the beginning. I guess I should have guessed this considering the fact that I said that his arm looked like the mixture of a dog dick and a crab. God, this is weird to learn. Why was this the idea? Anyways, the other thing that's definitely the guy I thought was Rampage turns into a helicopter with a minigun, like something straight out of Metal Slug. I'm telling you that a lot of these were inspired by my favorite SNK games. Anyways, Rampage but a helicopter sounds like death on wheels, and would have been really cool to see. Also would have been way less horrible to handle as a toy, since those treads were a nightmare back in the day. It was a cool idea. Fucking miserable in execution, though. Lastly, we got Optimal Optimus, who is mostly the same, if slightly more robotic and hardcore looking. I think I like the robot mode a lot less, with its weird-ass feet and tiny hands, but the monkey mode is pretty sick, and I think I know what the jet mode was going for more now, and the truck mode even more. Now it looks like a mobile base, like a futuristic planetary exploration vehicle. He also looks like he's even more of a behemoth than he already was, which would have been really cool. Imagine if instead of the third season being set largely in a cave, Primal was now like Omega Supreme sized and was basically the Maximal's mobile base patrolling the planet. Oh god, I want to see that real bad now. I can just envision what that would have looked like, and I'm in love with it. You could have had them be hunted by the Predacons and explore around. Make a whole thing out of it. Maybe Optimus wouldn't be able to fight all that often because he'd have massive power needs. Oh, this sounds so fun. Anyways, that was all the ones sent to me by Colt. I feel like there were more, but neither of us could remember where we'd seen them. So many of these I would love to have had a toy of, and also would have loved to see in the show. But in general, I just always want more Beast Wars, so that's to be expected. But before we go, let's thank a patron. And this time it's X with G1 Grandis, who I have to assume is a joke. Like really, Flabmaster 5000 himself Grandis. The dude whose transformation is to die of a heart attack and fall on his face, so now he's a bit of road. Dude looks like a tombstone, and as a toy is big enough for a human-sized grave. You could throw him at someone and kill them, if you were able to lift it, which even Metroplex wouldn't be strong enough to do. And yes, I know he's a playset, if by playset you mean a suitcase with toys in it, which does sound kind of awesome. And that's not half what I have to say, but it's enough what I have to say. And I know, you know, what everyone else tells you to do at the end of these videos. So, if you liked what you saw here, please do that. And if you'd like to take it a step further, then please share this video with any friend you think may be interested. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me waste your time.